Dr. Deb Butler, and you are listening to Thinner Peace and Menopause and Beyond. This is episode number 338. Welcome to Thinner Peace and Menopause and Beyond. This is Dr. Deb Butler, Master Life and Weight Coach, and as always, your coach. If you're a woman and you're smart and you're successful and you've been struggling with weight your whole life, and now menopause is making it harder than ever, and you are ready to make this the last time you ever have to go on a diet again, then this podcast is for you. Stay tuned. Well, hello, my dear friends all over the world. How are you today? I do mean dear, and I do mean friends, and I do mean all over the world. And today I have a special episode for you because it's going to be short and sweet, but it's going to be a very, very strong message. And it's not going to be as much about what you put in your mouth. It's going to be much more about what you put in your head. So what I want to share with you today is what happened in my morning routine this morning. And I want to tell you a little bit about my morning routine. And I want to share it with you, and maybe you're going to want to use it too, because this is what I notice about myself. I don't know about you, but when I wake up in the morning, my brain is not ready for the day. I have to prepare it for the day. This is what I've learned over years and years of rushing out of bed. I don't know about you. I had my days where there was an alarm clock, or there was, it's time to get up, I roll out of bed, and I'm out the door within a certain period of time. And that was not very good preparation for my brain. It's kind of like I just ran into my day. And what I've learned over time, it's the wisdom, I think, of growing older, is that my mind isn't ready for the day if I don't prepare it for the day. And so one of the things that I learned, and this is from Julia Cameron from The Artist's Way, a book that was written many, many years ago, but a beautiful book. One of the things that she talked about in there in terms of connecting to yourself is a morning routine called the Morning Pages. And I've talked about it on some of my podcasts over the last 5 years. Can you believe I've been doing this for 5 years? I know some of you are new today. I know some of you have been listening for a couple of years. I know some of you have been listening for a few weeks. So wherever you are in this journey of listening to me, I also want to welcome you. But I want to talk to you about what you do with your brain when you get your brain ready for the day. Do you rush right into it, or do you prepare it and take a slow invitation to the day? Well, what I worked out with myself, and I would say maybe over the last 15, 20 years, I've started doing this. It seems like a long time, but I had many years where I didn't do it. And I think it's a precious time. I look forward to waking up every morning only because I don't have to do anything. All I have to do is sit with this brain of mine, sit with a beautiful piece of paper and a pen in a beautiful place, and just let my mind wander. And when I say wander, I just let it say whatever it wants to say. And as it talks, I write. And so basically, Julia called this, it's a way of getting everything out of your brain. Some of it's good stuff, some of it's stuff maybe you don't want to use, but you get it out. And I have to tell you that it has been a beautiful experience for me over the years, is that by the time I actually do something to get ready for my day, like say brush my teeth or put some makeup on or get dressed, my brain is prepared. Now, I think what most of us do is we prepare our bodies to get ready for the day, and we're just thinking our brains are going along for the ride. But you know what? If you've been listening to me for any length of time, you know we follow our brains. So what we think is what we create. So I think it's really important for you to know what the heck is going on up there every single morning. A Morning Pages is a wonderful way to do it. And let me just tell you how simple it is to do. Probably the hardest part is the commitment. Now, what she recommended was doing 3 pages, and you just write. And when you're through, you throw it away. It's not to be gone over again. It's not like you look back at it. It's not like you analyze it. It's just something you write out and then you put it away. So if you're worried about somebody else seeing it, it's not for anybody else and it's not going to be there for anybody else, including you, after you write it out for that day. But I will tell you, I have learned so much from myself by just writing and letting stuff out. Amazing things have come out. And sometimes the best thing that's ever happened is that I just feel more joyful by the time that I start my day because I get my brain in gear. So I want you to think about this today. If you're looking for something, if you're wanting to feel different when you start your day, maybe this is something that you might want to do. And I take an hour every day, but you might just want 10 minutes. You know, it's kind of the same thing about when you start exercising for the first time, or you want to include exercise, which you know I don't call exercise, I call play. When you start something new, sometimes it's better to start with a little and not a lot. So all I can say is in the beginning, I don't remember how I started, but I doubt I started with an hour. But I did start with, I got a small little book with paper in it. So instead of 8 by 10 paper, it was much smaller. And she recommended 3 pages. And I did 3 pages, but they were tiny pages. And it didn't take as long. But I started the routine of making time for myself and listening to myself. It's like, who better to listen to what's going on inside of you than you? Who better to help you with anything that's bothering you than you? If you can hear what's going on and you take a moment to find out what's going on. That's what these morning pages are like for me. And some people like to get up in the morning and meditate. Some people just think they should be doing something in the morning and don't. And what I'm saying to you is if this sounds something yummy, like when I'm saying it to you, see, when I say yummy, it's like when you think of a food and it tastes really good, you can kind of get your mouth to water a little bit. And I think that when you hear something that sounds delicious and yummy, it's not something you taste, but it's something that feels the same way in your body. If this resonates with you like, wow, that sounds delicious, that sounds delightful, then what I would recommend to you is you start with a little bit of writing to yourself. And if you don't want to write to yourself, start with 10 minutes of just sitting with yourself before you start rushing. Because in the end, I'm going to talk to you about rushing today. I'm going to end my podcast with rushing and that idea and how we can slow down. And I think the beginning of slowing down is by realizing that if you start your morning in a rush, you're probably going to end your day in a rush and you're not even going to realize that you're rushing. So if you start by slowing it down in the beginning for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 1 hour, whatever it is, whatever sounds delightful to you. Like if something here that I'm saying, like when I heard this for the first time, my body said, please do this. I could feel it in my body. If you're feeling this as I'm speaking about it, then I want you to figure out the easiest way for you to start this tomorrow. The easiest way, not the hardest way, not the longest way. I mean, most of us want to do the biggest and the best, which of course then we don't do. I want you to do the easiest. I want you to think when you get up in the morning, whatever you say to yourself that you're going to do, that you'll say to yourself, this is ridiculously easy. Because I'll tell you what, if your brain thinks it's easy, it's going to jump on it. If you tell your brain, oh, this is really hard and I'll never be able to do it, you're not going to want to get up. So start easy, start with a little minimum, but start with something that allows you to slow down before you begin your day. Now, with that being said, what I want to read to you today is actually a story from my dear friend, Janet Archer, who is a colleague and a friend and an author and a coach. And she's written 2 books called An Invitation to Pause and An Invitation to Pause Again. And one of the other things that I do in my morning routine, other than let myself write to myself, is I also read things that inspire me. For you, it could be the Bible. For you, it could be anything. I know some people like to read the Bible in the morning if that's what resonates with them. And you can do that before you start your morning pages. For me, I find inspirational readings in other people's writings. And my friend, Janet Archer, is a perfect example of things that are very, very inspirational. So I want to encourage you after you hear this, if any of that sounds good, you can always get her book on Amazon. And she's a mindfulness coach and teacher. And her musings on life through a mindfulness brain is really another wonderful way to get your brain to start in the morning. So I'm going to read you what she wrote, and that's what I'm going to leave you with because it's all about the rush and how to slow down. That's what resonated with me this morning, and that's what I felt you needed to hear this morning. So I'm just curious after you hear this, because a lot of times I'll hear from clients, I'll hear from people who have been listening to my podcast. They'll say, oh my gosh, how did you know? That's just what I needed to hear. And I'm telling you, I get these feelings. And this is the feeling I got this morning. So you're going to let me know if this resonated with you or not. But I'll bet it does. And I will tell you that reading this book and doing my morning pages and working on inspiring my mind every morning has led to so many beautiful things in my life. And more than anything else, it's given me a moment to really slow down and see what's going on. It's kind of like pausing before you get moving. And you've all heard about taking a pause. Have you ever thought about taking a pause before you start moving really fast in your day? That's what I'm talking about here. So this is what Janet writes in one of her stories, and it's called The Rush. There is no rush. I hear those words, but I don't quite believe them. I live as though there is a rush. I go to see my mom every day. I am usually rushing to get there. I add the trip on to something I was just doing or something that I will be doing after I visit with her. She is usually sandwiched in between because my belief is that it saves me time. Saves me time for what, I wonder? When I visit her, we sit or walk. There is no rush when I am there. I rush to get there, take a moment of no rushing when I am there, and then rush away to something else. That is pretty much how my day looks. Rush, don't rush, rush, don't rush. And sometimes there is a rush, rush, rush with no stopping for the no rush part. Then there is a drop down, flat out exhaustion. Something I've been practicing saying to myself is, there is no better there than here. Driving in my car between here and there, believing that there is something better than being right here, driving in my car while going there, I stop to remember. There is no better than there than here. With that thought in mind, I begin to feel my hands on the steering wheel, hear the hum of the engine, and relax my shoulders, my jaw, and my brain. When I am with my mom, I stop to remember. There is no better there than here. Thinking of that thought drops me into a space of being present while I hold her hand, rub her back, sit there with her, words or no words, not thinking that something is better than this. Typing these words while sitting on my front porch, wanting the words to be done so I can move on to the next thing I remember. There is no better there than here. That's when I begin feeling my fingers on the keyboard, the breeze on my skin, and the sound of the leaves in the trees. It's a practice. My mind wants to rush ahead. It wants me to believe that where I am is not the place to be. But when I stop to practice, there is no better there than here. I feel the weight of all the rushing begin to fall off my body, slide down my arms, flow out of my fingers, and I begin to slow down and arrive here. I promise you, there is no rush. We have all the time in the world to be here when there is no thought brewing in our minds that where we are is not where we are supposed to be. I really want you to think about that today. Wherever you are right now is exactly where you're supposed to be. There is no rush. Slow down and enjoy this one precious life of yours. That's where I'm going to leave you today. And it doesn't matter what you're doing. If you're getting ready to sit down to a meal, slow down. If you're getting ready to get in your car, slow down. If you're getting up in the morning, slow down. There is no rush. There is no better there than here. Okay, all my dear friends, I'm leaving you with a wonderful message, but you know I can't stop without also reminding you that also as you slow down, please, please, please be very, very kind to yourselves, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.
If you're loving my podcast and you would like some more information to be able to follow along with, then please go to drdebbutler.com/change and you can get a free copy of my companion book that goes with this podcast that I refer to in many different episodes. That is drdebbutler.com/change. CHANGE.